Welcome to our newest and latest episode of the RoundTable Talk of 2021. I am Reverend Travis.
I'm Ashley Sharpton, Madam Ash.
Katrina Jefferson.
And we have our newest co-host with us. We are so excited. Miss Dominique Sharpton. We just love you. Woohoo!
Hey.
Damo,
What's up,
welcome.
Thank
to
you.
the table. How does it feel?
Feels great. I'm happy to join you. I've been fans of the Round Table for quite some time now, so it's feels good to be now a part of the hosting family. Thank you for having me.
Yes, it's good to have you. It's like, you're a natural, so it was only right for us to kind of have you here with us.
Yeah,
That's true. That's true.
Talk about some of the most.
that's such a Leo.
That's true.
I love it.
To talk about some of the most, pressing issues, of course, in our country, but also in pop culture and what's going on. So tonight, family, we are just excited to talk to you. One, about the COVID vaccine. We also have some really, really good tea time for y'all tonight. And then also Trump's last days and then the Biden-Harris administration. We're just excited about that. So tonight we kind of jump off. Ash, I'm going to let you kind of introduce this segment here because I know this is near and dear to you.
Ash, no, I was actually Dominique. What?
Right, I thought it was Damo's segment.
Now
This
this,
is
yes,
tea time
long
segment.
tea lady.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
So, Damo, go.
Tea time
Yes,
at the
please.
table.
Yeah, I have water. No,
No, I was just like, all that's going on in the world. I mean, yes, we are so privy to the issues, but I just can't get out of my mind that like Michael B. Jordan is dating, what is her name? Lori Harvey?
You know her name.
It's like I saw that and I'm like,
know her
I don't know, like I can't get over it. I'm just like, I saw. If we could just take a minute, just to be honest, all right?
Are we taking a minute for
Michael
a moment?
B. No, we're talking about Michael B. Jordan. Like he was just voted
Sexiest man
as
alive.
the sexiest
Beautiful.
man alive.
Beautiful.
All
man.
right, 2020. The year of quarantine, like he's like all we've been like looking at for the past year.
But he's been
alone.
sexy,
Like,
not just last year.
no, yeah, he's been sexy, but I'm saying once you've been coined, the sexiest man alive, like it takes it to another level.
hey,
You know what I'm
Travis.
saying? So once he was coined that, it's like everybody named Mama was looking at him. But here comes Lori Harvey. It's like, okay, Mom.
She's beautiful.
Yeah, let me not be a hater. Like she's gorgeous, like drop dead gorgeous. She's bad. But come on, Ma, we didn't see this story too many times before. Like,
Well, Dom, I think what the issue is with so many people is that she's kind of been around the block, right?
Yeah.
And there's no judgment here about anyone being around the block because it's 2021, right? It's 21st century, and you should be able to date as many people as you want to that you're not married to. But
right.
I mean,
and there's also a standard
repeat.
about men and women. How men, men could do it. Why can't women do it?
right.
So I get it. You want to be whatever. I get it. But like, come on, like you're the standard of Black women. Like, you know what I'm saying? You're out there. You're a public figure. You know what I'm saying? Like you are. Like your notoriety, like we know you because of this powerful Black man that you are associated with. So you're not only representing yourself, but you're representing the whole Harvey brand out there. No.
I don't know about that one.
Because I don't know if she's out there thotting and bopping like that. You don't think that has no bearings or no.
But from my understanding, Daddy was a thought and bot too. So
right. So mommy was. I don't know which wife was it or woman, but it was a few. Steve Harvey. First of all, Lori's not a Harvey. She was married into it, but she's not.
I heard she's a Smith.
She's his mom, the mother's. What's her name? I don't want to be disrespectful. Marjorie. That's Marjorie's daughter. But they raised her together, and he treats her no less than a daughter. But as far as what she's known for, so I understand what you're saying as far as she represents the Harvey brand. But what is the Harvey brand? He makes money for the family. He's in media. He is doing great things for the culture as far as himself. His story to me is inspiring, but at the end of the day, it's not like they're like completely integral or like they're royalty or like the president. Like
I guess, but I guess to me, like once you hit a certain status, and I don't know, like Black people with status, to me, I just feel like you have a certain responsibility to the culture to exemplify excellence.
For dating Isn't that
what?
Well, I think she's known for dating men, but then also she's been breaking scene in the fashion industry, especially in Paris, walking some of the runways. With
I saw that.
I can understand the idea of that.
Like the reality is that's based off of influencers, right? So but in terms of contribution to culture, she has that. I mean, that's not really her lane.
Yeah, I mean,
we look at it within the context of dating. She's doing probably what we all should have been doing, minus you, Dominique. But all of us should have fix it. All of us
Fix it, Jesus.
fix it. All of us should have been doing in terms of dating, right? Like, we're all faith-based people. We all came out of the church. And
I guess maybe because of that, I guess we see it a different way. So
Yeah, but I see it both ways. I say it, and I'm saying this because one, I'm a PK, right? But the other side is I'm of course a human being, and I've been out there in the world in terms of work and professional life. And I think that for her, part of the backlash, of course, is because she has dated multiple people within a year's time span.
Yeah, it's very short amount of time.
Alone, and we took 2019. She started dating Future in the end of 2019, dated him most of 2020, and then started dating Michael B. Jordan. And I feel like for us,
before
Future, it was like Trey Songz. It was
of course.
This one. It was that.
Right. I think she broke up with Trey Songz at the end of 2019 because he had a baby.
But I think we got to look at it
too, I believe.
Oh yeah, she dated a couple. She was engaged in 2019. Top of 2019, sis was engaged to I want to say a soccer player. To a soccer player. Then she dated Diddy.
Yeah.
And then, she allegedly dated.
Allegedly.
And then she dated Future in 2019 to 2020. And then Trey Songz was before Future and Diddy. So, but then
if Trey Songz was before Future, so Trey Songz and her broke up in 2019. Future took her out for her birthday last year.
2018. But let me finish my point is that, at least the way I saw it, was dating, right? Like, I think we were taught that dating meant you date one person until that span is ended, and then you date another person.
That's how I date.
I sat in on a sermon, I'm going to say it, Bishop Jordan, and it was probably about 10 years ago, where he said, you are single until you're married. Which does not mean you disrespect your partner, like you don't have any kind of rules or guidelines or morals, but the reality is like dating is dating. It means multiple people. And I think it's our preconceived notions that, and when I say our, I mean the society's preconceived notions that says Lori Harvey shouldn't be dating more than one person, or she shouldn't be attached to so many people within a specific time span. When the reality is, like, she's single until she's married. And she can date whoever she wants. And this is what she should be doing, right? Like, if her goal is, and I don't know the girl from nothing, right? But if her goal is to be married or to find a lifelong partner, you've got to go through multiple people in order to do that. And
I agree. I agree with you.
Sometimes it's not like, oh, I dated this person for six months, and then I dated another person for 2 months. Her agreement with herself and with her partners may have been like, look, I'm dating, meaning you are not the only one until you put a ring on it.
I hear you.
Until we have
I understand
where
that.
I'm no longer dating somebody. So as much as I want to be like, I'm probably one of those people that was like, she's been around the block, right? But the reality is, sister's single. She ain't engaged to nobody. She wasn't engaged to nobody except that soccer boy back in 2017. So
I hear you. I understand what you're saying, and I know the culture right now and the trend right now is basically don't knock that kind of stuff. So that, I mean, to each his own. I don't bang with it. I don't really look to that for as far as inspiration. She get it how she get it. If that's how you get it, if that's what she chooses to do, cool. I don't think I wouldn't want my daughter to do that, but that's just how I am. I've never had a adult relationship either, so. I mean, that is.
Neither would I. I'm not agreeing with it. I'm just saying that the reality.
I'm gonna leave it there.
I feel that also too. Her father, who's supposed to be like this relationship expert, I mean, as a father, I would definitely not want to see my daughter out here. Let me just say that I would want my daughter to
Very good book, right?
date. Let me just say
another
that,
one.
right?
See, he's just not that into you. Go ahead, Travis. I'm sorry.
I would want to see my daughter date. I want to see my daughter date multiple people, right? But I also don't want her to be dragged. And so as protection, I'm going to make sure that she doesn't do what she does on social media, because we already know how social media is in this culture and in this time right now, where it drags everything to the fullest extent, right? So her relationships might have been over 3-4 year span, but we're only seeing it in a very short snippet because of social media, right? And what's presented to us. However, my thing is, if this is who you're dating, because I know for me, if I'm dating you, the world ain't got to know I'm dating you. The world ain't got to know we went on a date. The world don't know we got to went away on a cruise, or we went away to Jamaica. We did this, we did that. Because that's between us. We keep that intimate between us until we've decided that we're going to consummate ourselves to become one. Then that's when we can let everyone know, hey, oh, this is what we're going to do.
Okay, can I ask something then though?
Yeah.
So if that's how you feel, what is too much then? If that's not too much, because we don't know if she's having sex with these people, we don't know what's actually happening. We just know they're dating. I mean, you can give me the face. That's just an assumption. We don't know for sure. So,
yeah, we don't know. There's no.
But as far as advocacy and in the movement, I know there's some people who basically advocate for sex workers, and they feel like sex work shouldn't be illegal, and they feel like the word whore should no longer be a term. Do y'all feel whore should be retired, since you just said if you're not married, basically you're not doing anything wrong? If you date what's too much?
I'm just against the idea of having sex with multiple people that you do not have the intent to marry, is what I'm saying. And so for me here's the case in point, right? I'm a biblical man, right? I'm a man of the cloth. So my idea of marriage and sex and all those things is the fact that it's not what Paul says, because Paul makes suggestions in the New Testament. Let me just say that.
Lord Jesus.
I might get in trouble for that. He makes suggestions that you should be married, right? There's no rule written in the book that you should be married before sex, right? But the idea is that we hold fast to that. However, my thing is, if we're dating for a long period of time and we've already consummated our bodies, in essence, before there was any legal marriage, that was marriage, right?
Yeah.
So how do you hold yourself to a standard of, well, I'm not going to stop myself out to this person, but I'm going to hold myself for this person, and then date for multiple people and see who I want to be with, right? I think when you date, it should be the 90-day rule, like her daddy wrote, hold it out, hold the cookie, keep it to yourself, until you give it out. But again, we don't know. They might have been dating for 90 days. They might have only been dating for 9 days, maybe 9 hours. Who knows? I don't know.
Right, because we only know what we know. We only know what people show you. Let's do one of these good blogs, and I'm not gonna name the good blog. I'm gonna text it to y'all because that's got to be the pocket one.
Well, like, you can say alleged.
One blog, I'm not believe it. The girl gets the tea. She gets like with receipts, not like I'm just seeing National Enquirer. Like she's doing it. So, but to your point, I feel like that we are, or not we, because we're not judging her. I think it's fantastic.
No.
Like my mother says, I was gonna say used to say, she says, if it ain't my monkey, it ain't my zoo. Meaning, we can think and feel however we think and feel, but the reality is it's not our life. And so
it definitely caught my attention. I was just like, wait a minute.
Of course,
what?
Of course, I was like, what? But then again, to Ashley's point, she's beautiful.
She is.
But here's what I forgot. I heard.
God, he is.
I'm gonna throw this in here. I heard that it's all a media ploy.
I believe that. That's what I was gonna say, but I didn't know.
Yeah, it just seems a little excessive. I just think that
I heard
he's making he's making a big.
Let me stop.
He's making a big splash about this, which makes me feel like something is up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
it's out of his character. Because he normally doesn't do this.
Exactly.
Any woman that he's ever dated, or anyone, let me just say who he's ever dated, because we don't know who he has dated, right? So I'm just going to say any
woman or man.
A lot of alleged.
Right. But I'm just saying, we don't know.
That one picture looked like that right toe was pointing.
Wow.
I'm saying.
Wow.
Okay. So we don't know who he has been dating. So a lot can be left up to speculation, right? But I mean, all I'm going to say is you ain't hear from me because I ain't want to gossip. So, just leave it there.
I can't. Is that the end of your tea time report, man, Miss Dominique?
Oh yeah, I guess that I just was I wanted to bring that up. I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
That shorty bagged Michael B. I just thought that was
well. I guess
very
I guess we can kind of segue because in a sense with them posting this whole thing on, social media and social media being this big thing, we can identify the fact that we really haven't heard much from Trump these last few days.
Praise the Lord.
He's somewhere probably crying in a corner. Just, oh my goodness.
No, it's because his Twitter was taken down. That was his favorite platform. So if you remove
it's
Twitter,
over for him.
Social media, he has no platform to speak about.
No, but he does have an official office.
Again, we'll hear all from him.
Yeah.
But I feel like we ain't done with him. We ain't heard the last of Trump.
We haven't, because he has an official office now. The future, he's the only in the history of the presidency of this country, this said country that we live in, the only person who has not been reelected or expired their term if they were reelected consecutively in terms of terms, that has established an office of a former president with a seal.
He's not.
Yes.
Which is not surprising considering all of his narcissistic behavior over the course of 4 years. Like, we're not shocked by anything he says or anything that he does. But the reality is, either I feel like one of two things: either he is just certified and in need of clinical support and hasn't gotten it, or he's scheming, and we, the people, need to be prepared to respond to his scheming. Because if the impeachment doesn't happen, we will definitely see him again in 4 years.
Well, I don't know if y'all have been watching as far as the canon,
QAnon, yes.
Whatever. But basically, they believe that he's coming back. They believe that he will be put back into power. I believe they said it's a few certain amount of weeks. They wait outside the White House. They have secret meetings. So it's a whole bunch. It's not like he's lost his following. Also, but what you said, I'm not surprised. What I am surprised about, and I probably should not be surprised about, is basically the pushback from the Republican side about this whole insurrection and about how Trump was the one who basically did the dog whistling and basically caused it. And at the end of the day, they're kind of like trying to ignore it, or like Mitch McConnell is basically like, oh, let's just forget about that even happened. They have to hold him accountable. If they do not hold Trump accountable, if they don't count all the people that was part of this insurrection, then it basically gives us the idea that it can happen again. We're weak. America is weak. The administration is weak, and we're vulnerable. Because at the end of the day, how could Trump get away with that here? Like, not only was he in the highest position of power in America, he basically gave the whole world his ass to kiss and said, now run up in there and do what y'all need to do, because they didn't give me this election. That's basically what he gave them the leeway to do, and now it's being allowed. So
no accountability.
I'm just confused as to how this is being allowed. That's like Giuliani saying, okay, 9/11, we got hit. Let's just move along. I think that's absolutely crazy.
But I think we also need to prepare for another 9/11 within our own country, right? Because it's going to happen. It's very clear what happened at the Capitol. It's a clear sign of another 9/11 or another attack on our country, or another civil war rather, right? I mean, people are talking about, they're gearing up for guns, but we got to gear up for policies and procedures to make sure that when these things do happen, these people are held accountable for it. And then even so, I expect that Biden and Harris will put these people in their place prior to this even all starting, or even like coming out, out of the gate.
But I think that's why he put us back into the Paris Treaty. He put us back into a whole, like, certain things to try to protect us, because they know something is going on. I wouldn't say 9/11 or civil war, but I understand what you're saying. We got to be ready for the extreme, but I don't want to put fear out there.
We don't want to put it in the universe.
Very, very scared, because I know everybody of different ages watches the podcast.
Yeah.
And there's a new, there's a virus that's still out there. There's a new strain that's out there. So there's layers to corruption and to violence and to, all of this that's coming out, so we need to be, ready for war, as you said.
What do you think about the executive orders?
I think to your point, I think the executive orders are in protection of this country, right? Because let's be clear, as much as he is for Black and brown people, and as much as he has put in place to protect and to provide resources to our community, the reality is he's the person who has been privy to executive level, FBI, CIA level classified information.
Right?
Yes.
He knows that, just as he has admitted, even when he was in his candidacy phase, that he's a transitional president, right? That he knows what's happening behind the doors
Mm-hmm.
and what's happening in front, like what
He's
the
known
media.
since Obama.
Obama was the same thing, same
Right.
way. He knew what was happening in front, like in terms of what we saw, what we see, and then what happens behind the closed doors, right?
Right.
So doing as much as he possibly can within his first 100 days to protect and reinforce and strengthen this country. I watched a movie, actually a documentary. It's not like fictional. Well, fictional depending on who you ask. Called I'm not going to say what it was. I'm going to text y'all. We can discuss it. But it talked about the secret societies within DC, and underground communities and organizations.
Please tell that right now.
Cult-like behaviors, right? And if you look at the psyche of someone who is joins a cult, or you look at cults, we are looking in terms of QAnon and this documentary, everything is parallel. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist at all. I believe in looking at everything in order to come to an understanding for yourself and then for us as a people. But if you look at it, there's some parallels there. And so I think that what he's doing is trying to strengthen and reinforce what we do have. But I don't think that I don't want people who are either listening or watching this to feel like, okay, we got Trump is out of office, now we can all breathe. Yes, you can breathe for about 0.5 seconds, but the reality is he's got an office. He has managed to be a part of an insurrection at the United States Capitol, which we are the most powerful country on the globe. In the entire universe, the most powerful, and he hasn't been brought to. There hasn't been any justice behind it, right? We know there's a process, but the reality is we're still facing an impeachment trial. Now, thank goodness there was enough people who voted in favor of having the impeachment trial, and I believe it's the first week of February 9th, if I'm not mistaken. The trial begins. Which will prevent him from being able to run for office. Like, the bottom line is he can be whoever he wants to be outside of that, but the whole purpose behind impeachment is so that he is not in a position of significant power within this country. Right. And that's what the most important part is. And the beautiful and scary thing about it is the other night the NAN Youth Huddle had the conversation talking about what now? What do we do now, and and one of the questions was, why do local elections and state elections matter? Well, this is why, right? Because Trump wouldn't be Trump if he did not have the support of senators, if he did not have support of governors and local level, meaning city council, mayoral candidates or officials who supported him in his reasoning, right? And so I think that this is an opportunity. I'm almost glad that all that's happened in 2020 has happened, because now America actually has to wake up, and we actually have to be engaged, or we should be engaged in the whole electoral process and engaged in the process of speaking out and stepping up to the plate when it comes to fighting for equal rights and for justice within our communities. But just because Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are in office does not mean that we should take a back seat and sit down and do nothing. It means that we should put our boots on and get ready, because Trump has not been silenced. And until that impeachment trial has happened, we should all be in go mode.
Right. But I think we should be in go mode, period. I'm sorry, Travis, but I think we should be in go mode on period, because a lot of people feel like, I know a lot of people got lulled back to sleep in the Obama years. Because they feel like we accomplished the goal of putting somebody who looked just like us in office. And yes, that was a great accomplishment. Representation matters. Like, that really, really does matter. I can't stress that enough. But I don't want us to get stuck and lost in the beauty of what this means. Yes, Kamala Harris is in. Yes, she made history as the first woman, as the first Black woman, as the first Asian Pacific Islander. Which one is it? Pacific American or Asian American?
Asian American.
And at the end of the day, that is beautiful. The fact that Trump is out of the White House, that's a beautiful thing. But we also can't can't like, okay, walk off the foot and like, oh, the work is done. People are confused as to what that work looks like. So first, why I wanted to ask about the executive orders on executive action is basically because one thing, as I've been watching and listening to what everyone is saying, Congressman Jamal Bowman and Reverend Al Sharpton made that point. Executive actions can be changed, and whoever's the next president, if Biden is not the next president can just take that right away. And that's why we need legislation. So we need these beautiful gestures, these beautiful executive orders to be moved to legislation. We still need the George Floyd Police and Justice Act passed. So at the end of the day, he mentioned George Floyd. President Biden mentioned the George Floyd and how he spoke to his daughter and how his death changed the nation. But at the end of the day, that act is still sitting there on the floor. So that needs to be passed and put in. It's very nice. The gesture is very nice of it. It's beautiful, beautiful motion. But at the end of the day, this stuff needs to be put across. That's why midterm elections are also important. So we just flipped the Senate blue, right? But at the end of the day, Warnock, Ossoff, they have to win it again. Midterm elections, they can take it right back. So we have to make sure people are still on the ground in Georgia. We can't just go be like, oh, we just gonna walk back home into our houses and eat good and live good and just wear our masks. We still have to keep our foot to the pedal, but we need to put our foot to the pedal and make people understand exactly what. So that means there needs to be people going to Georgia and continually on the ground, getting people ready, in preparing for when those voting dates are. Just like in New York City, we have local elections happening this year and next year. But it's bigger than Biden, it's bigger than Kamala. But I also want to point to their record. So one of the executive orders was about private prisons, which was amazing. People shouldn't make money off of people's hands. But at the end of the day, both of them have some issues in their past about criminal justice. So at the end of the day, I'm glad that they're righting such wrongs. And it wasn't just them. I know a lot of people in the Democratic Party supported the crime bill and did certain things, but they have to correct their wrongs. We have to keep our foot on their necks. I saw something about they didn't think it was safe to it was something today. I don't want to get it wrong. It was basically an article put out, Simone Sanders, friend to the room.
Yes.
She's on the Biden, she's a senior advisor to the Biden campaign, and I salute her.
New York Times article.
For her efforts for getting this far. But I just thought it was interesting. There was an article that said Jim Clyburn, Congressman Jim Clyburn, responsible literally for saving President Biden's, in my opinion, his whole election, campaign. But he basically said that Biden should commit to putting a Black woman on the Supreme Court, right? And he should have said it during the debate. So basically, it was just released that Biden was torn between that, and Simone Sanders told him, I wouldn't do that. But she wasn't the only one, but basically as a Black woman, that was surprising. And I was like, that was interesting. What was that about? But then they also said that you don't want to look like you were pandering to the Black community. I thought that was interesting because a lot of people, that's a hard line to stand on. Because at the end of the day, you have some who feel, or if you do certain things, or if you work with certain people, if you work with NAACP, if you work with Reverend Sharpton, or you're just pandering to the Black community, you don't really mean that. But at the end of the day, if those people are serving the Black community, if those people represent the Black community, then how is that pandering? You do have to work with certain things. At the end of the day, one of Trump's biggest things that he did, one of his biggest accomplishments, was he put so many judges on the Supreme Court. Yeah. We didn't even know because we were so busy posting and looking at social media and videos of people killing us, and they were not posting who they were putting on the Supreme Court. So that is an issue for me. I really want to see how they work this out, the Supreme Court. I want to see how they handle certain things, because we were left with some things not finished. In the Obama era, we were left with a lot of things unfinished. In the Trump era, and it's time to put a period behind them in this era. We helped to elect these people. So I hope, and I respect them, I don't want to say these people disrespectfully, but at the end of the day, I just hope they remember who their friends are, who elected them, and who they should be listening to when they get into that.
But I totally agree with you. But I also say is, like, elect us. That's fine. Put us out there, because the reality is Black folk have never had the equal opportunity as whites. And if that is what Biden wants to do, if that's the avenue in which he wants, I'm all for it, because I'm for blackity, blacker than black. All right. I'm with it all. All right. So yeah, bring us in the Supreme Court, bring us into the White House, bring us into the Senate, do everything you need to do to kiss our behinds, to get us in those spaces so you can win that vote again. Yes. Because when here's the thing. When you do that, we win. And then we're able to push those and hold those accountable for their responsibility and the job they're taking on, right?
Well, it's not just kiss the behinds, Trav. I just want to say it's not just kiss your behinds. I feel like when Black women win, when we win, we put on for everybody. So it's not like we're not just worried about ourselves. So when it's not just about kissing our behinds, it's actually you're helping yourself by electing and putting us in office.
Right. And I think even more so Black women, I think, like as I said before, Black women have been the stepping stone, the arch to this country. Right? You all have. And the idea is that we need to put that more out and put that forefront, right? So we talk about women's rights, you know, when they were fighting for women's rights back in the 60s, or even in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, the idea wasn't for Black women. The idea was for white women, right? So white women are a little further than Black women, right? But now that we have this opportunity where Black women can really rise and go forth and be on the forefront, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a mankind, but it can be a womankind. You know, my idea is I'm all for it. Push it, do it. Because guess what? When you win, it's a benefit for me.
I agree.
Because Black women raised me.
I agree. I wish more Black men felt that way.
You know.
Yeah, I'm just ready for Biden to show. I mean, we put him in office. You know, we got Kamala there. You know, now it's time to get the work done. And like Ashley was saying, you know, we have so much work to do. You know, the George Floyd Justice Bill. You know, there's so many things. The John Lewis voting rights bill. You know, there are real issues, our rights are seriously still under attack. You know, we are seriously still in an undersurge, and we have to, as a nation, you know, continue to rise up and address the issues. But now that we have some momentum, you know, in the government, you know, in the hierarchy, now the hierarchy has changed. We have to, you know, seize that opportunity and use the momentum to really make some change and really progress forward. So I hope that with all the conversation happening about diversity in the White House, yes, that's important. Yes, it's important to have diversity in government. Yes, it's important to vote and to know about, you know, the midterm elections and what we can do, you know, actively to impact systemic change, you know, with voting and making sure that we all get out the vote and everything like that. But it's also important to hold these politicians and elected officials like President Biden accountable for what they were put in office to do. And I think that we should not lose sight of that. So for his first 100 days, we have got to really be in tune to what's going on. Everything that ink, you know, that ink is touching the paper, we've got to be in tune to what is going on, what is being pushed, what is being, you know, what is being held or stalled, and why, you know, and we've got to fight tooth and nail to really address things, you know, point by point, issue by issue, and that's the only way that we're going to really, you know, push forward.
I agree with you, and I think to that point, this is also a reason why people should be civically engaged, and I think that is the lesson behind 2020. In addition to the pandemic and all of the aftermath of that, is that it's taught us a lesson, or it should have. And if it hasn't, ask your neighbor or get connected to an organization that can help educate or inspire or empower you to engage in the civic process. And I don't just mean voting, right? But at least having some kind of awareness and understanding as to how it impacts and involves you. The reason why is, yes, we have the national election, right? Where you have the president of the United States, and you think all your issues are gone, right? If Trump is out of office, it's gone. No, sweetie.
No.
The senators and the other legislators, they're all a part of the decision-making process, right? And those are the local level people that those that live in your states and your counties and your cities have elected, right? So it's not just about who's in power at the top. It also matters underneath that. Trump would not be the powerful person that he has been or that he is if he didn't have hundreds, thousands of high-level elected officials in office supporting him, spreading whatever message that they have down to the people who are underneath them, or to their constituent, or to their following, or to their base. You know, if you've done any kind of studying or any kind of research on cults or cultish behavior, there is I'm dead sick. And matter of fact, our next show, our next recording, I'm going to bring something to the table, because I've actually watched and researched a lot on cults, right? And if you look at the behavior, you look at the leadership, and how they target certain individuals, and how they're targeting certain individuals helps extend and helps spread their messaging. Your minds, on one hand would be blown like, oh my God, especially if you're not a person who has been a part of a cult. But on the other hand, from the outside looking in, you will be able to see how it is that they're able to cause or allow an insurrection to happen at the U.S. Capitol. Like never in the history of this country, outside of the 1800s, has that ever happened. There's a reason behind that. And I think this is an opportunity for America to wake up. In addition to, we've got a more secure or more favorable administration in office. I won't say positive or anything else because, again, he just got into office and we don't know what he's going to do from here on. But the reality is that there is a whole, I keep hearing arithmetic. There is a whole formula that was happening and going on before the insurrection happened. And I don't want people to forget that it may not be your calling to research it and figure out how do you counter it, but don't be blind to it, right? And think that just because you got a Joe Biden and a Kamala Harris in office, that all of your issues are solved. No, let's not make the same errors that we did when Obama was in office, where we thought we got a black man voted and elected into the highest position of the land, that we don't have to do anything else. No, sweetie, that's an opportunity for you to wake up and realize that there's still more work to be done. That there's so much that is happening on the local level that you have to be engaged in that influences the presidential level, right? And
hold these people accountable. Most definitely, hold them accountable.
Hold the ones that are in office accountable, and hold the ones. First of all, you can Google who supported Trump and who spoke out against this last election, and who potentially incited this insurrection in the U.S. Capitol. You can research that on your own, which I encourage everybody to do if you are a Democrat. Now, if you're on the other side, God bless, right? I don't happen to be on that side, but I will say that you can Google it and look at that, right? And there were senators, there were mayors, there were assembly persons that wrote letters to support the belief of the idea that this election was a fraud, that spread this hatred and this venom in the country that led up to the insurrection, publicly and quietly, right? So let's remember, we only know what the media tells us, right? But there's so much that's happening that you don't necessarily know about. And so
I think we can even take it back to the idea of when COVID first started and how the party of Donald Trump and his individuals were the ones who led this virus and not to spread as fast and vast as much as it has in our country, and then continue to ignore it, and then continue to reap the benefit off of the idea that you can make money off of PPEs, and you can make money off
bleach in their arms.
Yeah, like how do you do that? Like you tell people, oh, well, just take a little bleach, That's the same thing they were telling people who back when the pandemic of HIV and AIDS. Well, if you drink a cap full of bleach, it'll cleanse your blood and you'll be done. And people were dying. You cannot incite violence and hatred on people and expect an outcome of peace and joy in the country. It's not going to work. It has never worked in this country, and it's not going to work with Black folk, and it ain't going to work with me.
Right. So that's why I understand what we were calling for as far as, and we were just speaking about that as far as what we were calling for the Biden administration to do, the new elected officials to do, and that's fine and well. But I also think that there's a call to action for our community. And this past King Day, we just did, of course, there was the National Network MLK Awards virtual. They were amazing. When we honor people like Sasha Brown, who basically does the work, Stacey Abrams, Dr. Fauci. We had our public policy forum here at NAN, where basically all of the local electeds and some nationals like Chuck Schumer was here, basically came and spoke about policy reform and what we should be pushing as far as to work towards Dr. King's dream, making that reality. But then after that huddle, we led a unity march to Canaan Baptist Church, which was the last place Dr. King spoke at in New York City, to put Dr. Walker, our former pastor, may he rest in peace, basically in place. And I thought it was why it was important to call for unity on King Day. Why that's, to me, is important to call for unity, period, 2021 going forward into this administration is because I don't think we can do anything without a group of us that know what's going on, where we've been, but have the spirit and energy to go forward and take it to where we need to go. And that's not gonna just take elders, that's not gonna just take youth, that's not gonna just take millennials, that's not gonna just take Black people. And I know under the Obama era, when we saw Trayvon Martin and we saw so many people from police brutality get killed, there were so many divisive messages. And because I'm a student of history, I love to always look back at what happened and then look forward. And I know that's gonna happen again. I know it's gonna become the Black woman did this, the Black woman, and then the Black man will be pushed out. And to some feminists, some people are like, oh, it's time for that. It's time. I'm not into divisiveness. I feel like unity is needed, it's necessary. Congressman Clyburn, at the end of the day, he's a Black elder. And he helped to do that. So I feel like his efforts can't be ignored. But at the end of the day, it was a whole bunch of teens who turned the voting age, turned 18, who also helped to put him in office. So we all have to come and come to the table on how we're gonna figure this out. But people like Bonita Gota and people like Kristen Clark is now in the White House, which is fire. They've been a part of the Civil Rights Coalition with NAN and with NAACP and Urban League. But now they are transitioning to work in the White House, which is great. But at the end of the day, who's gonna come? Who's gonna go in place in that coalition? What does that unity look like? What does working together with civil rights organizations in 2021 look like? And I don't think it needs to be the same. It needs to be, we need to call everyone to action to unify who has the same agenda, who's on the same accord. Those who do not, they unify with the like of such. But I feel like we need to really, really come together, figure this out as children of faith. We're not children, we're no longer children, but as millennials and leaders of faith, as those in politics, as those who care about their community work and those in service, we need to come together and figure it out. Because if we all just trying to get our seat at the White House or get a seat at the table, it's not gonna work. We're all gonna just divide and it's just gonna look like, oh, the Biden administration saved us. But it was more than just the Biden administration. It's a lot of us who saved us, and it's on all of us to continue to push them forward. That's how I feel. So we need to
agree. And I think that, to your point, that this is an opportunity for us to wake up. 2020 was a rumbling and a shaking for all of us, as a people, as a nation. And I think there's so many like nuggets and things that we have the opportunity to pay attention to, and then create from there or execute from there. But the bottom line is we have to all be engaged on some level. And whether or not you just pay attention to the national elections, meaning the president and VP sort of things that happens every 4 years, or that you're engaged on the local level. Really, everyone should be engaged on the local level, because the body is what empowers the head, at least for me, right? And so the body, meaning everything underneath the president, is what empowers he or she to do whatever it is that they decide to do. And that's where we should focus. And I also don't think that we should forget about said Trump. Because
I agree.
From our research, let me tell you, unless they silence him entirely, meaning he can no longer run for a position of power or office, then we are always, not even unless. One, we need to silence him. Two, we need to understand that he had foot soldiers, right? Because there was a House of Representative person that was elected who was also very involved publicly with QAnon.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Very true.
And we, based off of what we've been told,
some people need to go to jail.
Hello.
Yeah.
And what we've been told, and what we've all as hosts researched, QAnon has been very influential with regards to the insurrection, right? And so if people just stay asleep to it all, then we're going to see this again. We just happen to get a leader in office who was able to be the puppet master and ensure that all of his tricklings and all of his plans, his downline plans happen. But this is an opportunity for us all to wake up and to not stay asleep and to stay engaged, whether it's the postmaster election happening in your town, because we know every jurisdiction is different, that you pay attention to that. The reason why is because that person is connected to someone who's connected to someone who's connected to someone, and not just by relationships. I mean, I'm talking about like legalized hierarchy that influences another level, that influences another level, and influences another level that gets to the presidency, and it's all connected. There's no one part from the top all the way down that operates or functions without the acknowledgement or without the connectivity of the other.
Right. And you know, I think even looking at the idea of all we did not expect in 2020, and then all we did we went through, right? So the first 2-3 months we didn't expect COVID-19 to hit us as hard as it did. You know, yeah, and then turn around, and then the last 9-10 months of 2020, you know, it was rumbling, it was rough for us. I think that was a moment for us to kind of see where we need to be. But I also believe that this is kind of the year 2021 is the year that we really start manifesting our vision of what happened and what God gave us and all the things that we came into fruition in 2020 about. And I just, before we end, I kind of want to ask you all if y'all can just name 3 things y'all are expecting in 2021, you know, to one, just help encourage our viewers who in a low place, but then also need something inspiring. So I'm going to start with Ash. If there's just like 3 things you can just, you know, put out there, 3 things you want to, you know, help put out there to inspire others, and then, you know, either a goal or something.
I say claim what you want, claim it. So I claim increase in all aspects of my life for 2021. And I claim the same for you, whoever's watching. I claim the same for all 3 co-hosts. I claim the same for everyone out there who wants increase. If you have the capability for it to have more, you're gonna get more. So claim it and pursue it. But I know this is wrong because we're supposed to be ending, but I just have to do this. For the culture, I have to say this because we didn't talk about it, but Kamala Harris brought it back. HBCUs in the building. I went to you went to Spelman, you already know. She went to Howard, the other HU. We're not gonna go there. And also one more for the AKAs. I'm not Divine Nine yet. But at the end of the day, we must say good day to the Skull and Bones and one time for the AKAs. Okay,
all right.
Go next.
Trina,
because Madam Bishop ushered us into worship with the HBCU and just culture acknowledgement. My wish is echoing the same, but also that we would stay. I hate the word woke, but for the lack of better phrase, that we would stay woke, that we would stay engaged as a people, as a country. And I'm not just talking about Black and brown, I'm talking about everybody, because there was 26 million more voters within this last election than there were in 2016. So I'm talking to all of you too. But that we would stay engaged as much as we possibly can, that you do not forget about your local elections, because the head, the top is impacted. Their ability to move and do whatever it is that they decide to do is impacted by all the other parts, and we are the other parts. And so I would encourage you all to stay engaged and stay active and get connected. If you don't know where to start, you can message us, you can email us in order to find out how we will direct you, regardless of where you are at on this globe. I'm not even going to limit it to the United States. I'm going to say within this globe, we will engage you all and tell you exactly how you can get involved and get connected with what's happening on the local level in order to impact the upper or the mass level, right? The second, I'm definitely going to say is I'm going to jump out here, encourage and celebrate every Black woman that you know in your life. The reason why is we've seen it, not just historically, not from just from the Harriet Tubman times or Sojourner Truth or the Shirley Chisholm times, but in terms of the now times, the times that we actually live in, we're seeing Black women make tremendous strides.
Yes, indeed.
This is part of my not even tea, but like introduction for next week. All the Black women, I think, because our next recording will be Black History Month, and we should honor and celebrate not just Black women, but the Black people who have made significant strides within our lifetime, but certainly within 2021. And there are several who are in high power and influential positions that deserve a shout out or acknowledgement. But I would say celebrate and honor and salute them and support them. If you haven't, you have tomorrow's another day. You can start tomorrow and supporting them then, but definitely highlight, push up, empower, and support those who are making strides within your communities, because Black women in particular, we are winning. And I'm not just talking about from a VP level, I'm talking about from the Starbucks of this country, who happens to be the person I'm thinking of happens to be a stomach red. We're talking about HBCUs. I'm talking about the Stacey Abrams. I'm talking about the Kamala Harris's. I'm talking about everybody from top to bottom. I'm talking about your local city council person who was voted into office in a district that never voted anybody black or brown or even remotely looked like us into office. We're talking about them too. And so I think, one, celebrate Black people because I'm Black, and then I'm also going to say celebrate you. And get ready, get your book up, get ready to work. This is the exciting time because now we've seen within 2020 that our vote, our has power. And I'm excited to see what happens within the next 4 years of this next cycle. But my call to action is get involved, get connected on some level. And if you don't know how, like I said, you can
find a way.
You can comment on wherever you're watching or wherever you're listening to this video. We'll get you connected to whatever it is that you need to get connected to.
Most definitely. And Miss Damo Sharp, can you tell us 3 things that you can inspire or you will be inspired for 2021?
Yeah, I'd say number 1, self-care is important. So, I mean, that's one thing I know that with this pandemic and just like stress overload time, with everything going on, we forget to check in with ourselves and then notice that, we're not feeling well or, our mood swings are off or we're, our energy is reflecting in the environment we're in and we're starting to see negativity around us and such. So just check in with yourself, do things that keep you peaceful. And that peace will generate to others and to the environment and to the community and to the world. So that is important. So definitely take a moment to check that every single day. Another thing is definitely inspiring the next generation. So find a young person to mentor, to support, to pour into, to talk to check in with, just, find a young person, identify that young person and pour into that young person. You don't know what you will do to that young person's life. Is very important. I think this year we should definitely pay it forward. And the next generation definitely exemplifies that in all aspects of the word. So find a young person, mentor them, speak peace forward, as we are often heard, and do something to make a difference.
Most definitely.
I think that was 2, but I'm gonna keep it there.
That's cool. No, it was great. It was great. And I have just a few, just 3, just simple, just keep it short. 1, continue to love those that you're around, continue to love those that support you, love those who don't love you, love those that do love you. I'm in a space where I want to fall in love this year. So I'm going to love everybody. Even when you don't like me, I'm going to still love you. That's what I'm just saying. That's where I'm at. But then also too, Katrina, you made a great point. Live another day, right? So fight to live another day. Just make sure whatever you do, because although we all look good here, we are always fighting to live another day. We're always fighting to survive and make sure that we keep our head above water. But most of all, that we are able to kind of walk in our purpose and kind of do what we need to do to make sure that we can, move in the right direction in which we need to go. And then the last and final thing I got for y'all, right? Fail consistently. Do not be scared in 2021 to not fail. Fail, right? Because we know that failure brings great success and brings you to a wealthy place. And so I just, decree and declare that this is the year that I will fail multiple times. I'm going to pick myself up again and make sure that when I do fall and when I do fail, I can hug myself and love myself and say, we're going to get up and we're going to keep it walking and we're going to keep it moving, right? So in that vein, I love you all. We love you all. This is the end of our first episode of 2021 for the RoundTable Talk.
I'm interrupting again. I'm sorry. I'm good at that. I just wanted to say, because in the spirit of Kamala Harris and Shirley Chisholm, I just want to say we lost 3 queens. So I just wanted to close out remembering them. That's okay.
Of course.
Mrs. Vanessa Bright, who is Dominique's mother-in-law, the mother of Marcus Bright, and the grandmother of Marcus Al Sharpton Bright. And she is of Tennessee. May she rest in peace. Leanna Faye Crutcher, the mother of, you might have heard, he was a police brutality victim, Terrence Crutcher, and Dr. Tiffany Crutcher. They just laid her to rest on this past Friday, and she was of Tulsa, Oklahoma. And also Miss Carmetta Perry, who we all knew, she was a lifetime member of the National Network, and she was the mother of our dear friend Patrice Perry and Ricardo Ferguson and their sister and brother. So she just passed away this week. So we just wanted to end remembering them and lifting their spirits, and just prayer and peace to their families, and to all of you who have lost somebody during this time, whether it not be to COVID or whatever it is for. May peace and love and comfort consume you. And I hope things get better. But I just wanted to end it there. And I'm sorry to bring it back to a somber place. But
Oh, it's not even somber.
Not
And
ever.
in the name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, we bid you all adieu, and we invite you to tune in with us next week. We guarantee that it will be very meaty, very juicy. You might hear some tea conversation, but you'll enjoy it and certainly be empowered and educated as well. We are your hosts of the Roundtable, Katrina Jefferson,
Ashley Sharpton,
Dominique Sharpton,
And Reverend Trav.
and peace out until next week.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another conversation here at the Roundtable. We are your host, Katrina Jefferson,
Ashley Sharpton,
Dominique Sharpton,
Reverend Travis.
and we are excited to come to you today with a very, very, very special guest, dear friend, I'll say to the family. Her name is Jamila Williams Kane. She is a native of Brooklyn, New York, the great textured borough here in the city, and is a nurse practitioner. Her undergraduate training began in 2008 at Hampton.
Yes.
Turn it up. After graduation, she landed her first position as a neuro RN, which is very interesting to know. A year later, she transitioned to labor and delivery, where she worked for 6 years as an RN. And during that time, she obtained her master's degree from Long Island University. Now, Jamila works as a nurse practitioner in New York City, specializing in primary care and high-risk obstetrics. Obstetrics. How do we pronounce that? Obstetrics. You know, it was crazy. It was it was an area that as a kid I was obsessed with. I have no clue why. There used to be a show on I want to say like Lifetime or Discovery that did labor and delivery, and they showed they showed everything. It's no longer on TV, but and that has nothing to do with what we were talking about, but it just
but that's good to know. I'm like, I never heard of that show.
Yeah, it probably had to be about, if I'm 41, it had to be on air when I was about 13, 14.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And they showed all types of deliveries.
Oh, that's interesting.
I'm sure it's archived somewhere.
But anywho, I'm sure.
Welcome to the Roundtable.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to share with us a little bit about your experience with the vaccine. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Ashley Sharpton, who's going to start us in this conversation. And we're so grateful that you were able to be with us today.
I'm so happy to be here.
Yes. So I follow you on Instagram, and I saw you made a post. You posted that you took the vaccine, the COVID-19 vaccine. So immediately I was like, oh, Jamila, I need to get her to talk to her about this because all of us, of course, are active in the movement, and remember, we all believe in God. We all members of the Black Church. So we know there's a lot of resistance right now. There's a lot of concern, fear around what's going on with the pandemic. Some people feel it's a hoax. Some people don't even want to wear a mask. So we wanted to ask you questions. You are a young Black woman in the field of medicine, and directly impacted in the field of it. And I wanted to know, first off, why did you get the vaccine?
I'm over it. That I am over this whole pandemic. But number one, I believe in science. I believe in, first, I should say, I believe in God. That's one. And I also believe in science. Seeing how many lives were lost, I think 1.7 million people to be exact is enough. I can't do this any longer. I am seriously over it. The vaccines are not a new thing. In order to stop viruses or stop the spread of viruses or decrease it, but vaccines have been used over time. So why not? It's better than getting COVID and possibly dying.
So to that, you said it's better than getting COVID. So what do you say to those who feel that COVID-19 is a hoax? As a nurse, you work in the hospital, so honestly.
I mean, I would ask, well, one, do you watch the news? Like this is a real thing that's affecting our lives on a daily basis. Even if you've never had COVID, you might have known some with COVID. Our lives have been changed for a significant amount of time, and things are going to stay this way. if we have the resistance that a lot of people are having, I'm not saying that you should get the vaccine. I can't convince anyone to get it, but I think that I'm definitely with it as opposed to being against it. It is not a hoax. People have been dying. People have been affected. So many people have lost jobs besides losing their lives. And people have died without their loved ones by their side. People haven't been able to have appropriate funerals and homegoing services for their loved ones. And I'm like, if that's not enough for you, I don't know what to say, but I'm personally over it. So I needed that vaccine.
Did you have any side effects?
I did. The only thing that I had was fatigue that night and the next day. But honestly, I slept like a baby. Like the sleep was so good that I was like, I could do this every week. I mean, I wouldn't, but I mean, the sleep was that good that I'm like, I can't wait for my second dose, which is January 27th.
Okay, so you get a second dose. Okay.
Yeah.
I know, Dama, you had a question.
Yeah. What were your trepidations? Did you have any before taking the vaccine? I know you mentioned a few before, but were there any specific like setbacks or things that you thought like, okay, because of this, I definitely don't want to take it, or was there any thoughts to that before you took the vaccine?
Yes. So the main one is that I don't have children yet, so I didn't know how that would affect fertility in the future. But honestly, that's not something that we would know until years and years from now. That was one thing that I had, but because the dose it's a 2-dose vaccine, I figured that it's probably not going to stay in our systems for a very long time. Honestly, I want to live. I want to live. So that was like the only thing that I would say was a setback. And then at first, I guess I was listening to everybody else and I was like, oh, I'll let a couple of people get the vaccine before I get it. And I'm just trying to figure out exactly what exactly was I waiting for? Like, I have to go into work every single day. I mean, what else is there to lose at this point?
Right.
So.
I'm a member of the New York State's vaccine, the COVID vaccine task force as an ambassador. And one of my things is that, the accessibility to us to receive the vaccine once it's available, where do we go to get it? And especially for people of color who have, many trepidations or, dealings around even taking the vaccine, and then yet alone, where do we go and get it that we where we feel safe? But just like in terms of your life, in the midst of COVID period, as an essential healthcare worker, how has your life been impacted by the virus in any kind of way? I think that sheds a light, for people. No, because we're dealing with dire situations and circumstances. So that can go into effect of how we feel about the vaccine and, where to go to get it.
Right. So how has that affected, you're asking, how has that affected me, like my daily life?
Yeah. How has the virus in general affected your livelihood?
So from the beginning, I was scared to go to work. And there was at one point where I was like, wait, I took an oath, I know, to be a nurse back in like 2012. But here I am putting my life on the line. Like, I didn't think I was going to be doing this on an everyday basis. And then going to work and seeing these big like trucks outside because the morgue was full. And I work at a very, very big institution. So for that morgue to be full, where now there's bodies in big trucks, it was like sickening. It was heart-wrenching. So from that moment, I was like fearful. I was fearful to go to church. I'm sorry, I said to go to church. I was fearful to go to work. I wasn't fearful to go to church. I needed to. I was so fearful. I was so scared. Walking into rooms with people who have COVID, I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to go and care for this patient. But you know what? This is what I signed up to do. So this is what I have to do. So I had to put on the mask. I know we were reusing masks at the beginning. So I had to wear the same mask, wear the same eye shield, wear the same gown, and just act like I was in a third world country. Wow. And even though being in New York City at a big hospital on top of that. So the faces that you guys are making, imagine how we were feeling. I mean, my life will forever be changed because of that alone. And then it just affected my mental health. Like it really affected my mental health. And then not being able to see my loved ones. I know everyone has had this issue. I couldn't understand why this was happening. I mean, I couldn't work out. I didn't have anything on the side to do. It's just like work and come home, work and come home, stay in the bed, be sad, cry on my days off. It was a mess. Things did start to get better, but now we're kind of going back where we were.
But how did you pick yourself up? How did you convince yourself to keep going? Because that's hard. Like what you just talked about.
That was gonna be my question.
And you're a young woman. That's salute to you, Jamila. God bless you. And I'm thankful that you're here to tell your story. To thank you for your service and thank you for your commitment.
Definitely. Picking myself back up, church. Online. One of my aunts, she's my prayer partner. So she always sends scriptures to the family every day. But she would like send me separate encouraging messages. I have other friends that are in the medical field as well. My mom is in the medical field. She's a nurse. My stepfather is a respiratory therapist. So sharing our stories together, my mom is 57 and she's been a nurse since she was like 20, I don't know, early 20s. She has never wrapped a dead body until, last year, until 2020. Wow. And she wrapped a few. And just hearing that, I was like, oh my God, like she's been in this for over 30 years. And here I am. And, I guess I got to get used to this. This is what we're doing here. So, I mean, picking myself back up, leaning into my support system, leaning into God, reading the Bible more. I was looking up every church service that I possibly could on my days off. I'm like, what's the topic today? What else can I get? I'm like, anybody that wants to shoot me a prayer, please, like, help me out. But leaning into the community more definitely helped.
Thank you.
Yeah. I have a question. We are seeing in the news and certainly on social media as stories and conspiracy theories have run rampant regarding the vaccine. What would you say could be or would be some best practices for our community to consider when filtering through information? And then are there any resources or referral networks that you know of where people can go to get accurate information so that they can become as educated as possible as they, discuss with their physicians whether they should or shouldn't take the vaccine?
So the CDC is the perfect place to go when looking up information. Up to Date is another place that I go to. I don't know if you have to be subscribed for it because I'm automatically subscribed as a provider, but I feel like other people have access to it as well. But definitely looking at the CDC guidelines. In terms of conspiracy theories, my dad is one of those where he's just like, the vaccine was created to kill Black people. I'm like, okay,
there's a few people who say that to me.
Not just him.
Hearing him say that, I'm like, well, you're retired and you can stay at home. I am not retired and I have to go to work. So you know what? The vaccine can kill people, but the disease is actually killing people for sure. So, I mean, vaccines this is not the first vaccine that has ever been created. So I would tell people to read more and I know that social media has a big impact on our lives and what our moms and dads and grandparents say and everyone that generations before us. But I mean, we have to read for ourselves. And I think that the CDC guidelines and Up to Date would definitely help. Up to Date is the actual, there's an app that you can get on the phone as well. So
would you recommend a vaccine? Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I do have a question. With our community being Black, us, having these notions that it will kill us. I do have I guess trying to identify the vaccine in our community. How do you think, or do you believe that the vaccine will have some type of effect on those, especially in the African American community, who have pre-existing conditions?
I personally do not think so. I know that a lot of being Black, it seems like it's already a comorbidity. We're always affected by everything. I 100%, I know it, I see it. Yes, we are. But do I think that the vaccine, as of right now? No, I don't. I don't think that the vaccine actually has been for healthcare workers first. And I mean, there's a lot of Black, white, his Asian, like there's so many people in the healthcare field. And then next, now they're doing older people, which that's also another comorbidity as well. And I mean, it's not just whites or blacks, it's all people over 65 that now they're extending the vaccine to. So I do not think that it's going to have an effect on, you know, the Black community. I think that COVID itself has an effect on the Black community.
Would you say a specific vaccine like Pfizer, would you recommend that one over another, or would you just say get them?
I would say get it. So for me, I got the Pfizer. I did want the Moderna because I'm like, I want that black girl magic. That's just me. But they didn't have that at my job on that particular day that I went to go get the vaccine. But I mean, the rates are, they're like neck and neck. I want to say today when I looked, Pfizer is like 96 point something and Moderna is like 95 point something effective. So I mean, they're literally neck and neck.
Okay.
So,
Cool. And what about masks? Do you think that people still need to wear masks? Because a lot of people say they don't even work.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've heard that a lot.
Honestly.
So I do have a lot to say about the mask. So an N95 mask is really what we use in the hospital if there's somebody that has COVID. And the N95 mask, you have to be fitted for it. You have to make sure that you can't even really smell with the N95 mask. That's the same mask that we use for like any type of droplet precaution. So if a person has the flu or anything like that. However, we're all wearing a regular mask. I think that's going to decrease the likelihood of transmission versus just not wearing a mask at all. A lot of people, less people have been getting sick this year. Less people have been contracting the flu this year. And I definitely do think that masks they're 100% needed, 100% needed. But I do understand when some people say, you know, it's a hoax, but it's not. It's definitely not. And N95 mask is what we're supposed to be using, but the reality of it, put a mask on. Every time that we speak, spit is coming out. We have droplets that are coming out. So if you can do anything to at least protect yourself or people around you, your loved ones, do it for them. Like I always tell people, even if you don't want to wear a mask for yourself and you don't care about yourself like that, if you have grandparents that are still alive, care about them. You have parents that are old, care about them. You have children, please care about them. So if you don't want to do it for yourself, do it for your loved ones.
Right.
So,
you heard it here. Wear a mask. Mask work. You heard it
wear a mask, please. I understand it's painful. I mean, I can't take it anymore, but please wear a mask.
I have one other. Yeah, I just have one quick one. And this is just pertaining to our general health. What are some ways that you think people can, I'll say, improve or optimize their health as we're still in the phase of the pandemic? Are there any tips or tidbits that you can share with us that we can take back to our communities with regards to their health overall and keeping it in good condition as we're moving through the pandemic and vaccine?
Good question. So before I got the vaccine for myself, I started to boost up my immune system. So increasing my intake of vitamin C, zinc, echinacea. I also do a lot of ginger shots and wheatgrass shots. That I feel like that helps a lot. I stand by it. That's just me. Even before this whole pandemic, when I felt like I was getting sick, I would always go to the juice store and get a shot of wheatgrass or a shot of ginger, and it would honestly knock it right out. And I'm somebody, I get sick every season, every holiday, every birthday, every trip. I'm always sick. And I've been doing that for like 2 years. And honestly, I haven't been sick. So I would definitely say boost up your immune system prior to getting the vaccine. Another thing is just keeping up with your health. I mean, being Black, we have a lot of comorbidities that we are faced with. Hypertension and diabetes are definitely leading right now. And I know that diabetes is like one of the biggest risk factors with COVID. So just keeping your blood pressure well managed, well controlled, monitoring your diet, keeping your diabetes well controlled. If you can work out, I mean, if you don't feel comfortable going to the gym, totally fine. If you can do stuff at home, I know that, outside we can't really walk right now. It's cold. If you want to, then great. But if we can work out at home, I would definitely say do anything that can help our comorbidities, one, and then two, boost up our immune system.
Excellent. Well, I'm gonna keep doing my ginger shot. That just
please do it.
I know. I was like, let me go to Uber Eats.
You're right.
No, I mean, and I just want to say, I'm not sure if this is like definite. It's not, but it's helped me, and I live by it. But I won't, convince anybody else. But I swear by it.
Right, and you've been on the front line. You've been out working the whole time, the whole pandemic. So,
thank
you for that.
Yes.
I am. I'm gonna follow them. But thank you, Nurse Jamila Williams Kane.
You're welcome.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Of course, I enjoyed this. Thank you so much.
We appreciate it. We gotta have you back.
Yeah. After you get the second year, we definitely gotta have you back.
Okay. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All
Bye,
right,
guys.
have a great day.
Thank you.